So tonight, from my point of view, last night from your point of view, Leeds United played against Sheffield Wednesday in the Carabao Cup. Now, on the face of it, this was one of those games that Leeds win relatively comfortably because we're going into it, Premier League side, very decent players. We've got a squad that we're putting forward again with very, very high quality footballers that we've just signed. Admittedly, a little bit of squad rotation, but at the end of the day, we're against a team that are lying near the bottom of the championship and basically put out a youth team. So, therefore, easy win, piece of piss, Leeds United in the next round of the Carabao Cup. Didn't strictly happen, did it? No. Leeds United have lost in the Carabao Cup to Sheffield Wednesday. So in this video, I'm going to take a little bit of a deep dive through it. What exactly happened in the match? Why what happened, and ultimately what it means for us going forwards. And I think there's quite a lot of very important things that kind of need to be talked about on this. But before I get into all that, just pop a subscribe on the stream, video, channel, whatever. Subscribe, like, the subscribing's free. It's great. You can even be a channel member if you want. That isn't free, but it really helps out. Anyway, diving into it. It was one of those matches that throughout it didn't exactly feel like it was going to be a brilliant one. So first half was, for example, a little bit boring to the extent that I went on to Jer's Big Up channel partway through, because I always do, because I quite like to do so, and it's nice over there. And we just had a little bit of a chat, and it was not particularly about the football match, because the football match was absolutely miserable. In the first half, Leeds did not seem able to put passes together. We were effectively unable to build any actual attacking momentum. We weren't able to put pace behind those attacks, and it wasn't brilliant in the slightest. When you're looking for the better players in that first half, I think at least Metcha looked like he was trying. Brendan Aronson genuinely looked very, very invested in the match and sort of at least pushed himself. And yes, he's not technically the best player, but at least he puts that oomph into it. But ultimately, the first half was flat and a bit shit and crap, essentially, which isn't the best position to be in, to be completely honest, when you are a Premier League side playing against lower championship opposition. But at least you would think, in theory, we'd be able to turn it around and do something with that, because, we've got decent quality on the bench. So what we do is, on the 58th minute, we bring on Nonto, we bring on Calvert-Lewin. And 5 minutes later, Carl Darlow proves why we signed another goalkeeper. Because there were a few people going into this season being like, yeah, Carl Darlow could probably do a job. Why are we spending on a goalkeeper? We can invest elsewhere. There were a few people after this weekend when Lucas Perry conceded a lot of goals. Very, very few of it was his own fault, but conceded a bunch. And everyone was like, well, why don't we just play Darlow instead? This is why we don't play Carl Darlow. Because Carl Darlow is also open to making some pretty hefty mistakes. In this specific instance, ball fired at him. Normally you'd do the sort of like long barrier position where you've got one leg up, the other leg is covering the gap behind that leg, and it makes sure the ball doesn't get through, and then you just gather it with your arms, scoop. Easy peasy. Now it just went right through him, to the extent that it is called an own goal, because the initial ball, if he just left it, wouldn't have been a goal. And at that point, we are, whilst still being dominant in the match, dominating possession, dominating chances. At this point, we hadn't had that many of those, but I'll get into that a little bit later. Dominating possession, dominating passes, dominating territory. We weren't creating that much. But after this, we were kind of forced to, because at that point, you kind of have to. So, within 8 minutes, Stack comes on for Gruev, which I think was a quite clever thing to do, because Anton Stack can do the defensive work, but he does the going forward significantly better than Ilya Gruev does. And we brought on Jayden Bogle for Sam Byram, which is, again, really good switch. There were a few points in the first half where Sam Byram tried to make those roving runs that you'll see from Jayden Bogle. And they just didn't work out, because that's not Sam Byram's game. And when Bogle came on, you could tell that Bogle had come on, because he was really starting to make the difference. And you can see that because he scored within 10 minutes. A few minutes after that, we bring on Dan James. And Dan James brought a little bit more pace and energy to the attack. Didn't strictly do what we would have necessarily wanted it to, because I think, whilst his being direct sort of created a good few opportunities, they didn't end up in the back of the net, because what you want is the ball in the back of the net. But We need to talk opportunities because fucking hell, that was the weak point for me. So I'm looking at the match stats again, and people pointed out that after Everton, we took 21 shots, and if we had better finishing, we would have done significantly better. We had the XG, I think it was like 1.6 maybe, against Everton, which more than likely than not, you're scoring 2 rather than 1. In this match, we had 25 total shots. Of those 25 shots, 7 were big chances. 7. The XG, oh, the XG. The XG. They had 0.15 expected goals. We had 2.74. Expected shots on target, I would like to note, their keeper did really well. We only scored once. In theory, according to XGOT, we should have scored twice and a little bit. But Jesus Christ, guys, can we just finish? And I know it's his first game back, but we need Calvert-Lewin to not do that again. Because there were a couple of times where it was like, you're 1-on-1. It's an almost open goal, and you're 5 yards out. You've got to get it on target. And a lot of people will do the thing again, and I fucking promise you we will get this, where they'll say, told you we should have got Daniel Farker out. For me, if your team is creating 2.74 XG, it has had 25 shots, 27 shots, whichever place you're getting your data from. 25, there we go. There's a certain point at which you say, the manager's done what he can. He can't personally walk onto the pitch and kick the ball in the back of the net for us. Because that feels like cheating. And it was just disappointing for me. It felt like we had it in us to win that very, very, very comfortably. And there is a bit of it lying on the manager. Let's be very clear. Like, if in that first half we just go at them, like with everything that we've got, and create those chances in the first half as well as the second half, then we're in a bloody good spot. Because out of that XG that we created, which was, I will just quickly double check it again just to make sure that I'm not being incorrect. It was like 2.56. 0.4 of that came from the... Which half was it? I can't remember. Thanks, Brian. 0.4 of that came from the first half, and the rest was the second. And that's not really good enough. So I'm going to quickly take you over to a Statsy page for a moment to show where our shots were from, because I think this is quite important. So if I just quickly share my screen, it would be that one. This shot map, and the fact that we scored once from here and it was Jayden Bogle, is not good enough. That Calvert-Lewin one is ridiculously close range to be missing. As is this. As is this. As is that from Metcha. It was a good save, to be fair, but... And then just the amount of efforts that we had that just didn't work out. Of all of these shots, of our 25 shots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's probably in the box, actually, so we'll say 8. 17 were in the box. We didn't manage to score any of them except Jayden Bogle's. So I think lessons learned. Against Newcastle, we need to be a lot more clinical. We need to actually attack the game, because once we start doing that, we look really good. But playing a little bit passively and waiting for things to open up rather than just going clearly harmed us here, and it might harm us against Newcastle. And I think we quite desperately need that creative player, that 10, because I think Piru played in that 10 role in the first half with Mecha in front of him. And a lot of the time it felt like Mecha wasn't getting any service because Piru isn't the kind of guy to do the creativity stuff. So I think we missed out quite a lot. I'm hoping that we do significantly better going forwards. But, as always, that's just what I think. Also, let's not do Darlow again. I think Perry starting this would have made sense. He would have been able to sort of build a little bit more rapport with his defence, but he couldn't do that. So, Anyway. I'm going to leave the video there. So I hope you enjoyed this little ramble. If you did, pop a like on the video, subscribe, be a channel member for $2.99 a month. You get early videos like this one. Ooh, all that. I'm going to go to bed now. It's 1 in the morning. And tomorrow morning, I've got to get back on DIY bits to prepare the house for a child. So I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you later. Also, if you are one of the people that was doing pro Chansiri chanting, it's not on. Because Wednesday backed us when we were having our issues. That's one of those things that goes a little bit beyond rivalry for me. Anyway, see you later.